The next generation of speed, but still retaining the world famous forgiveness. Let me introduce you to the Ping G430 family. And as we all know, the G425 was renowned for its forgiveness, played by many on tour. I think these right here might have broad enough shoulders to live up to their ancestry. Yep, so this year, the same as last year, the G430s feature an SFT, an LST, and a max head. The differences between the three: the LST is obviously the low spin technology model, and it has a slightly smaller head. It's at 440cc. It also features some stuff that doesn't feature in the SFT and the max, which I think is a little bit cheeky from Ping. You then of course have the SFT, which is the straight flight technology. This head is aimed at the people who potentially fade the ball too much or slice the ball too much. It is a draw biased head, and it is slightly larger, more on the forgiving side. Like the max, it is at a 460cc head. And then finally, probably the most popular model, definitely the most popular model last year, the Ping G425 Max. Uber forgiveness, big head, 460cc, very elongated at the back, giving you the most amount of help possible whilst retaining, in all fairness, really, really good looks. It doesn't look like a huge game improvement driver, which I'm a big fan of. So we've had these for about a week or so now, and we have put them through their paces to be able to do this review. We've took them out on course, we've headed to the range, and we've also jumped in the GC Quad, the simulator, to get some data on these heads. So let's first of all dive into the looks of these golf clubs and what has changed. So to start off with, we have a new colour scheme on these G430s in comparison to what we had with the G425s. The G430s now feature a taste of the rainbow, as Skittles would say. We've got a nice little splash of lime on there in comparison to the all blacked out stealth G425s. Quite nice. The next thing we're going to notice of difference on these is the crown, because there is a slight change, like I said earlier, which ties into the tech. Why was I resting that on my head? Ping have now introduced something they are calling carbon fly wrap technology on the crown of these golf clubs. What's strange about the carbon fly wrap technology is that it only features on the LST model. And the reason it only features on the LST model is because it's a lightweight composite that covers the crown and wraps into the toe and heel sections of the skirt to save weight and lower the CG for more ball speed, less spin, and a higher MOI. It's an 8-layer, one-piece composite construction, saving 4 grams and only weighs 11.5 grams. A movable 22-gram high-density tungsten weight influences shot shape by 7 yards between draw, neutral, and fade settings. It will change it by 7 yards just by moving the weight track on the back. That is a big claim, but it only features on the LST, which I think is a little bit of a cop-out. Now, all 3 drivers do feature Ping's new VFT, so variable face thickness. Basically, it's just a thinner face, meaning more ball speed, and you do get that in all 3 heads. These clubs are also benefiting from a brand new face design. Ping have called it their optimized T9S forged face. Mouthful, yes. Like I said, all that is doing is adding a bit of ball speed, Ping are claiming, because their tagline, like I said at the start of this video, is same forgiveness, quicker, faster, more ball speed, longer, because Ping have never been known to be the longest driver on the market, but with the G430, they are trying to change that narrative. And finally, we will put it to the test later on in this video, but Ping are saying that they have changed the old acoustics to this driver. It was always a little bit loud and a little bit garish. I personally didn't mind it, but Ping must have had some feedback from the public saying that dim down the noise a little bit. It don't have to be so loud. So they're saying that they've changed the internal rib structure of these drivers, giving us a more aesthetically pleasing Ping. And finally, for all you slicers out there who struggle to get that ball to turn for a right-handed golfer, right to left, there is a little bit of new technology that's been implemented into the SFT this year, which I think might be of help to a lot of you at home. Because Ping have introduced a brand new 22-gram tungsten weight, which features only at the back of the SFT, and it has 2 options, draw and draw plus. So if you put this head in the draw function, it is going to add as much as 13 yards worth of draw to your ball flight. But if you put it in the draw plus version, it can add up to 20 yards of draw. How far right have you got to be hitting it to need 20 yards of draw? I don't know. So after spending some time on the golf course with these clubs, we headed over to Scratch 18, the indoor simulator, and I did just test the Ping G430 Max head. Just because I use the G425 Max, so that club there is probably going to be the one that most suited to be going into my golf bag this year. So I just wanted to see what the numbers were. I have got a separate video out that is coming soon with a straight head-to-head of the G425 versus the G430 in the simulator, so check that out so you can see the actual differences between the older model and the newer model. But let's head over to Scratch and see the numbers that the G430 is posting. Greens at 325. Not a bad start, it's turning a little bit. Who's it going to get there? No. Nice ball. Tell you what, mate. Get out there! Get out there! The ping is turning. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe to that. But this is all obviously about the G430, so ignore that. I might go in the hole. Premature. Premature. Right, that is a good, decent enough 5 to 6 shots hit with this. See what the old G430 is saying, shall we? Yeah. I feel like a teacher presenting to my classroom. So, what have we got here? Ball speed column down here, averaging at 168 mile an hour ball speed. Not the fastest, not the slowest. Total spin at 2,600, so that is mi bueno, mi bueno. Carry distance 289 yards with a total distance of 314 yards. Total yards to the pin on average 12. We're taking that with driver every single day of the week. So quite similar numbers there really from what I would expect to see from my G425, or most drivers in fact. It's certainly not the longest head on the market. The ball speed that I was getting is slightly down to the numbers that I can get with, say, my Titleist TSR. It retains the same amount of forgiveness, which I was most apprehensive about because I do think that these have got a chance of going in my golf bag this year. I am a player at the moment who is looking not so much for distance, but ultimate forgiveness, and the G425 possessed that. The G430, the Max Head and the SFT certainly still possess the forgiveness that I would be looking for when selecting my driver for next year. The LST model, not so much. I headed over to the range before I went out onto the golf course and I hit a lot of shots with the LST, the SFT and the Max, and there was one real standout performer, and I don't think it's going to be the one that you're thinking. It wasn't the LST, but was it the Max or the SFT? So what I found when testing these three heads on the range was relatively interesting. I'll start with the LST, the one that really isn't the club that I would be putting in my golf bag, and I don't think many people are going to be. The LST for me, it was certainly a much lower ball flight. It was visually lower. It was a lot less forgiving as well. I actually didn't, out of the 6 or 7 balls I hit with the LST, I don't feel like I hit one completely sweet out of the middle, which is a shame because the head size and the shape of the head, the toe sits a little bit more open, so it's going to suit the better player's eye. But for me, the trade-off between looks at address, slightly more compact head and taller profile, the trade-off of forgiveness just wasn't worth it in my opinion. Now, moving on to the Max, this is going to be the most popular head for sure when this goes out to retail. Head shape 460 rather than the 440 in the LST, and I hit some really good drives with the Max. To be expected. I currently use the Ping G425 Max driver. Very similar head shape profile, a lot bigger and elongated at the back. It does inspire a lot of forgiveness, and the results really spoke for himself. Hit quite a few out of the middle, hit quite a few out of the toe and heel, and it performed really well, as you would expect with the Ping lineup. It is super forgiving, a nice high launch on it as well, but overall the Max performed really well. But the star of the show for me was the SFT. That driver was unbelievable. Hitting it all across the face. Now, like I said, I do not need any more draw in my game, and I didn't see a massive overdraw with that golf club until I put it into the draw plus setting on the back, which is when I started to see the ball turn a little bit too much left for my liking. But if you are someone who is struggling with a left to right shot as a right-handed golfer, then that draw plus weight at the back, that tungsten 22 gram weight, really does work. I wouldn't neglect the SFT. I would definitely give it a try, because for me, out of the three that I hit, the LST, the Max and the SFT was actually the best performing. But as you can see there from that range footage, this little baby here, the SFT, really surprised me in this test. With it being a draw biased head, it shouldn't really suit my game, but if you put it across the draw plus, you do start to get big turn, a big right to left shape. When you use it in the draw setting, I feel like it's an even more forgiving head than the G430 Max. And that is saying something. They are, again, both 460cc heads, so they are the bigger heads compared to the LST model. But I just found from my initial testing that the SFT was just so easy to hit so straight. And it launched really nicely as well. I was getting a nice high forward ball flight out of it. Wasn't too spinny, and I was hitting it in softer shafts than what I would usually play. But the SFT for me was a real standout performer from the golf shots that I hit on the range. So internal rib structure, it has been changed. They do come up with some good terms, don't they, golf marketing companies? Internal rib structure, it really gives it like a human element. What is the sound difference between the G430 and the baby brother, the G425? Well, let's find out, shall we? I've even color coded the balls for you. We're gonna start with Ping's G430, and I'm gonna use yellow golf balls. It is a little bit more of a strike rather than a tin can, maybe. Let me know, what does that sound like to you? Time to put the old faithful back on though. Glad to see that Ping have sorted out their impossible loft sleeves. Not. G425. So listen up, prick your ears up. Let's see what sounds different. It is different, isn't it? It is. It's the G425 is louder and it's a bit more tin canny. They have actually improved the internal rib structure of the G430 and gave it a slightly better sound. One more. So what do I think of these golf clubs? Let me tell you. So in conclusion, what are my findings? What are my thoughts of Ping's new G430s? Well, like I've mentioned in this video, I would have probably preferred if they kept the all blacked out stealth kind of colorway like they had on the G425. I do think it's a little bit cheeky that you are only getting their brand new carbon fly wrap technology in the LST head. And it's noticeable that the LST head has that and the other two doesn't, because the crown has the line where you can see where the carbon fly wrap and the face is rolling into the crown. So I think that's a little bit cheeky from Ping. So if you're someone who is looking for a low spin model, then you're also gaining the added benefit of that little bit of extra technology in that head. But what I will say on behalf of Ping and their G430s is I think they have made this club a little bit faster than what the G425 was, which is a benefit because from testing before, hitting other drivers in comparison to the G425, where it absolutely excelled in forgiveness and dispersion, it really did lack in ball speed and distance, and they have addressed that slightly in the G430s. I hope you've enjoyed this review. Get down if you can and test the G430s at your local pro shop. They are on sale at Clubhouse Golf. You can go on the website and pre-order them right now. Fantastic drivers, fantastic forgiveness, added a little bit of distance, changed the colour scheme, made the Ping on the back a little bit smaller than what the Ping is on the G425. I really enjoyed them. Big chance of going in my bag this year. As always, if you haven't, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, you'll be notified every time we upload a new golf video. There's a few of these left on the website as well if you're interested. We'll see you in the next one.